Ladies and gentlemen, anime enthusiasts, and fans from around the globe, welcome to the climax of the Reddit Anime Awards 2023. Tonight, we stand on the brink of honoring the pinnacle of anime excellence with the prestigious Anime of the Year award. This category represents the culmination of a year filled with creativity, passion, and unforgettable storytelling. Anime of the Year isn't just about popularity or hype, it's about recognizing the series that have left an indelible mark on our hearts and minds. These are the shows that have captivated us with their compelling narratives, breathtaking animation, and unforgettable characters. They have made us laugh, cry, and ponder the complexities of the human experience. So without further ado, here are your nominees for Anime of the Year.
And the winner of the jury award, Bang Dream, It's My Go. And the winner of the public award, Vinland Saga Season 2.
It is indeed your go. So this is a kind of a standard question that we always ask, but it's very easy to ask.
Fair enough.
How predictable were these? Are you surprised at all to see these rankings, these winners?
I mean, not being into the whole Reddit community as far as like our anime, Bang Dream was a bit of a surprise for me. But
it will be a surprise
because,
to our anime too.
it's one of those shows that I'm just like, okay, it's a show, but like if you're in those communities, I can see it being super popular and very well loved. It's just one of those things that I was just like, I did not expect that out of because this is Anime of the Year, so it's like out of everything that came out this year. Okay, if that's what you choose, that's fine. Vinland Saga makes a lot more sense to me, but I'm also like a very huge fan of Vinland Saga, and season 2 especially has been absolutely amazing, so that's fine. But yeah, no, Bang Dream, that was the one that was just like, okay, that's a choice.
Let's talk about Vinland Saga for a second. How did you feel about the tone shift between season 1 and season 2? Because season 2, when I was watching it, I was kind of like the very first couple of episodes, I was like, okay, when is the farming gonna? He's gonna get off the farm. It's gonna, but then it ended up being really captivating, and I ended up wanting more and more farm Viking. How was your feeling?
So my feeling on that, I loved it, mostly because, and I don't know if this is the same mentality that everybody had. I think that some people, based on how things were presented, looked at Vinland Saga Season 2 as a traditional sequel, and I didn't view it as that. Mostly because, and if you look up like my videos on Season 1 of Vinland Saga, I very much point to Season 1 of Vinland Saga. This is a prologue. The whole Season 1, that's a prologue. And then when you jump into season 2 with that knowledge, it's less of a, this is a continuing of what's went before, and more of a, here is a different sort of aspect of the story, and everything else that we saw before this was just background. Very needed and very entertaining background to have watched season 1. But I felt like season 2 was just like, no, this is kind of a different show. And it's going to take things in a different path. So yeah, when it started off with like Farming Simulator to a bit, I would be like, oh, so many people are going to get turned off of this. This is going to suck. But I enjoyed it personally. I enjoyed it a lot personally.
I mean, the characters are just so much richer, especially Thorfinn knowing where he's come from, right? Knowing the kind
Mm.
of traumatic, almost being enslaved, and his kind of complicated feelings towards his weird half father but enemy
Yeah,
Askeladden.
and that's why it's like very very interesting based on what I was just saying, because it's like I can't tell somebody to start with season 2. That doesn't make sense. You're not going to know enough about Thorfinn to really get what's going on. But at the same time, like I don't feel like this is a sequel in the normal sense. We did not immediately pick up where things left off. There's been a bit of a time skip. Things have changed. Thorfinn is a very different character in season 2 than he was in season 1, but then even within season 1, like he jumped between like 2 or 3 different mindsets between the innocent naive Thorfinn of the very very start of the season, followed by the like Arya Stark levels of revenge fantasy he ends up trying to go on at the end.
Now, Stuck, how did the jury approach this sort of evolution, and did they factor in the kind of like prologue nature of the first season into the second season?
Well, we definitely noticed the tone shift, but I would not say that that was really a factor for us necessarily. There are definitely people in the jury that preferred the first season to the second season, but overall, we were just sort of judging it as it is, which is the more focused character study of Thorfinn, as well as all the ongoings on the farm and sort of this side story with Canute, which I think that a lot of us enjoyed the side story with Canute and the sort of moments with Thorfinn where you're getting this character growth from the revenge narrative to sort of the pacifism narrative and the struggles that he has transitioning after he's lost his like subject of revenge. I think that that goes a long way in his character development, and a lot of the jurors I think enjoyed that. I think that the amount of time spent on the farm was probably the biggest drawback for a lot of the jurors. There's a lot of sort of side stories going on here with some of these new characters that aren't as much part of, like, a lot of them aren't part of the previous season. They've kind of got their own thing going on, and those aren't as compelling, I think, for a lot of the jurors. And so we kind of ended up not as high on those parts, and thus the long, somewhat bloated nature kept it from outranking some of the other shows that we had available to us.
Including Mygo. Can you explain exactly what Mygo is as someone who might not know?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so this is an entry in the Bang Dream franchise, but it's largely so far disconnected from the rest of the franchise. This is something you can go into without having seen any Bang Dream. It's entirely about this new band called Mygo, and the formation of this band, which it's formed from the remnants of a different band that has broken up. So some of these characters have this history together, and then there's some other characters that are kind of jumping in and filling in the spaces that have been left behind from the previous band. So it's a character drama. It's very melodramatic. It's very focused on these different characters and their relationships, and each of them kind of has these goals and aspirations that they want to achieve through working with this band, but it sort of slowly becomes more about coming together and overcoming like your struggles and your loss.
How do you feel about melodrama, Arcada?
I don't mind it under particular circumstances, but in general, because melodrama's like so heavily into a lot of the idol focused shows, that tends to be a particular genre, I guess we could say, that I end up avoiding in general. It's not my go-to personally. Which is weird because if you look at like the jury listing of like the top 10, Idol is very big with the jurors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Stuck. Can you do a little defending? So, average viewer may look at this list and maybe think that the jury kind of has this sort of bias. That dreaded word bias.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
I don't know if it
yeah.
would be a bias, but more of a leaning. You can definitely see particular preferences when it comes to genres just by looking at the list. Although to say that they have like an idol bent is very weird because of how far down Oshino Ko was compared to everything else. But
So what is it about these shows? Is it just their idleness, or is there something more to it that you decided to celebrate?
Oh, there's definitely jurors that enjoy idol shows, but like I would definitely not say that it's just because they are idol shows that they're up here. You know, several of these jurors have been jurors before. Other idol shows haven't gotten the same amount of attention. I also sort of think of Bang Dream as more of a band show than an idol show, but that's splitting hairs.
Mm.
I think that each of these has elements that we highlighted and really liked. In particular, Mygo, as I talked about, was sort of the character drama. Idol 7 is actually a really interesting comparison point for Oshinoko, I feel like. Both of them kind of have a some cynicism towards the idol industry in some ways. Idol 7 is a lot more positive overall. It's very focused on these idols overcoming the adversity that they face, but it also is somewhat realistic in some ways, uh, as to the sort of adversities that come with being an idol, especially as far as like what the reaction can be sometimes to fans and their comments. And then Oshinoko also sort of has this cynicism towards the idol and entertainment industries. It does sort of branch further out outside of the idol industry, as our focus character Aqua is, I feel like, more focused on acting and sort of TV and stuff, ignoring the fact that he's also searching for the murderer.
Yeah, you'd forget the whole
Yeah.
supernatural revenge plot.
Mhm.
So, these are all sort of different takes on music or idol. And if you want to consider Uma Musume an idol anime, I guess you can. It's much more your traditional sports drama.
Yeah, it is more of a sports racing drama with I haven't seen Road to the Top specifically, but from my memory of the original Uma Musume seasons, it was very much yeah, no, there's racing, and then they also sing now for
Yeah.
reasons.
I mean, if you win something, don't you just want to sing? If you want to race and they brought a stage out, you wouldn't.
I mean, personally, if I won, that would be I get to opt out of singing for winning.
I think that for me as well, but like I think that it's sort of celebrating the fact that you've won and sort of being able to put on a great show for the people that you care about, and that's particularly important in Road to the Top. I feel like because the main character, the primary focus character, is Narita Top Road, and her big thing is sort of focused around her accountability to the people of the shopping district and sort of those who support her, and her wanting to put on the best performance that she can for those people that support her. So I feel like it does tie into the themes in a certain way that I think works really, really well and makes for that moment where you get that catharsis of them performing in these idol concerts adds a little bit more depth and feeling to that, I feel like.
Now, what I'm a little surprised at is that there's kind of a time honored tradition with the awards where the public's winner is like jury's last and vice versa, but that's not the case this year. In fact, Bang Dream is even above Spy Family, which is one of like these top behemoths that you see the merch everywhere. What exactly about the season do you think the public maybe it didn't endear them to it? Was it just too much time on a boat? Is that it?
Specifically the Spy Family, I think that it's less comedic, and it sort of has these segments at the beginning and end that are much more like these half episode vignettes that are specifically focused on side characters mostly. And so I think that that turned off a lot of people. Overall, I think that they're much more interested in the overarching plot involving the main family, and sort of the action scenes that come along with that, as well as some of the more comedic stuff. Obviously, there is that long boat arc with Yor. I think that Yor is one of the lesser established characters early on. And so I think that there is a bit less interest in her than Lloyd and Anya in some ways. I think that this arc was really, really great for Yor. I actually really, really enjoyed it because of how it expanded on Yor's reasons for doing what she does and sort of cementing her motivations. So I think that that was actually a really good part of it. But I can definitely see some people being turned off because a lot of the comedy kind of just goes by the wayside during that arc. There's not very much comedy going on there.
What did you think, Tristan?
I'm pretty much in agreement with that. I know that Spy Family has been a bit of a behemoth since the first season aired, but I got the feeling through season 2 that we were chilling out a little bit more, both through watching the series, so from like the general feeling you get from the narrative and how things are focusing a little bit differently than the first season, but also like in people's reaction to it. It's not as in everybody's face as much as it used to be with season one. I feel like you don't see it around as much. It's still popular. It's still being watched. It's still being discussed, but I don't feel like it's held up over time as much as the others. So like I feel like I saw a lot more about Mushoku Tensei with its second season, and JJK, of course, being JJK. You see a lot more of that on a more weekly basis as far as discussions go compared to Spy Family.
Ask real quick is just which list you align more with, or what was your personal anime of the year based on?
Based on the fact that I already stated how a lot of things that are like even idle tangential, I haven't been the biggest fan of. The public list is definitely where I align far more. So like when I did my own anime of the year lists and stuff on my YouTube channel talking about the end of the year, most of the second seasons I didn't include at all. So like that's just something I generally skipped, because my mentality has always been, if you like the first season, you're gonna like the second season probably just as much. I'm not gonna clog up my awards or anything like that with constant sequels and seasons, and that's just a personal thing for me. But with that, Vinland Saga is amazing. Oshi no Ko has been really, really great. I am surprised but happy that Heavenly Delusion made it up as high in the public voting as it did. I thought that was a series that I thought that was much more of a sleeper series because it was over on Disney, that not as many people were paying attention to it as some of the others. So I was very happy that was there. I was happy that Mushoku Tensei still has a little bit of momentum, especially since season 2 especially is kind of a down season as far as where the narrative is, because it's like, this is the Rudius is going to be sad and sorry for himself the whole season. It gets better later if they adapt it. But yeah, no, the public voting is definitely where I lean far more as far as where I'm aligned.
Now, when you're doing these evaluations for anime of the year, I mean, I a lot of people around the world place a lot of great value in your opinion, just because you've been around for so long, and it's obviously that you do your research, right? I mean, you watch so much stuff, you watch everything.
I try.
Yeah, over your many years of expertise, what kind of comes into mind when you think about naming things onto that list?
Like coming up with an anime of the year.
Yeah, like what specific qualities I mean, obviously there's like the 5 whatever but yeah, but I'm curious to see how you evaluate things.
Well, over time, what I've kind of come down to is this, and no matter what, you need to pick an anime of the year, because someone will always ask, even if I say, nah, none of them is. Then at the end of the day, you're like, okay, well, what's the closest to? And generally speaking, if I'm going to pick an anime of the year, it is a show that I have felt the need to finish all the way through. It is a show that I wanted to watch a new episode when it was available, whether I was watching weekly or if I was like watching them after the fact, and I just really wanted to get through them because I'm enjoying myself so much. And then once you're done the show, is it one that you want to watch again? Now, that can be a little bit of an asterisk on that, because there are some shows I feel like you don't watch a second time, but they're great anyway. So like if you ever watched the Studio Ghibli film Grave of the Fireflies, that is an example of an anime film that is absolutely amazing. I will never watch it again. I have zero plans on ever watching it again, but I can still talk about it and how great it was as a first watch. But generally speaking, if we're talking about anime of the year, I want to be able to finish the show, and I want to be able to say, no, I will watch this again. Usually it's, I will watch this again because I'm forcing somebody else to watch it. And I need to be okay with watching it again so that I can get them through it if it's something that they might be only just so about or what have you. But that's generally where it is. Because it's like, if I don't want to watch it again because I don't feel like I would get entertainment about watching again, I don't feel the need to watch it with somebody else to make sure that they can watch it, then it's probably not anime of the year, especially if there is something like that from that year.
Well, I think with that, our conversation is coming towards an end. I want to thank both of you for coming and giving me your time. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I enjoyed coming on.
Yeah. What I really want to stress to everyone watching is that, I think this list just goes to show how much variety there is in the anime space, and how there's always something in some show that has the capability to speak to you, right? So we have a public winner, we have a jury winner, we have a ranking, but pretty much any one of these shows could have something that speaks to you. So I really highly recommend you check them out, whether that's this kind of redemption of a violent past arc that's happening in Vinland Saga, or this kind of found family getting the band back together, friendship that is Bang Dream Igo. And with that, I think we have to bid everyone adieu, and I hope you've enjoyed watching.